Let's talk about Palworld.
So, in case this goes viral or whatever, and people see this video,
Oh, it's me. That's for me.
If you don't know who I am, I'm Mort.
Hi.
I'm a game designer. I've been a game designer for 19 years, 11 and a half at Nintendo,
19 years. Holy shit.
Half at Riot. So I've been doing this a while.
Okay.
And I've seen a lot of discourse online about Palworld and like what it means, and people being like, "Oh my god, AI and whatever," and freaking out. It's been pretty bad. And what's really, really disappointing is just how much misinformation is out there. I'm also, I don't know, I'm personally tired of the news cycle that is, I saw this trending tweet, let me go make a YouTube video about it.
I'm not sorry.
Even though the trending tweet came from somebody who has no idea what they're talking about. And then that gets perpetuated. And it's just really disappointing.
He does bring up a good point if he's talking about spreading misinformation, because he's exactly right, and that's the way that misinformation spreads, is that somebody takes a rumor, somebody reports a rumor, somebody makes a video about the reporting of a rumor, and then somebody else makes a report about the video, and then it's taken as a fact. It's like literally the game of telephone.
And so I wanted to take a second to talk about Palworld.
Yeah, he's right.
What it means for the game industry and its success and things like that. And, you know, maybe some ways you might consider feeling.
Well, you should try a fact check. I try so hard.
To start off with, one of the things you have to do is, you know, those who don't study history are doomed to repeat it. And I know I'm old, I'm 40, I'm gray-haired, whatever. But a lot of people maybe are younger, and maybe this is their first dive into it. So let's talk about making a video game, right? Let's say it's the year, I don't know, 1991.
Ooh.
And you're going to make a video game.
Super Mario
so the first thing
3.
You do is you're going to pick like
it was
your
1990.
engine, whether that be like a console or whatever, and you're gonna pick your engine here, and you know we're gonna call it engine. Look at that big old text, and I'm gonna make it bigger here. Great. That's not big enough. Great. You got your engine. You got, you know, you're going to make some characters, some behavior, and then you're going to make some levels and stuff like that. And you're going to, like, a game is a bunch of different parts, right? It's like levels, characters, behavior, enemies, stages, systems. You've got a bunch of parts into game design. Maybe equipment, maybe items. It could be a bunch of various things.
It's like a stack of pizza boxes.
Game is all of these different parts, right? And so we're just going to oversimplify it down to all of these different parts here.
It's a lot of pizza boxes.
This might be...
Like, there's so many of them, I think the only person who could carry all of these at the same time would be Donald Trump.
You know, level art. It might be level design. And I'm oversimplifying here, but there's going to be a bunch of different parts. Characters, system design. Actually, let's do, before we do system design, let's say behaviors, you know.
Those are the bugs.
Enemy, AI, blah, blah, blah. Well, let's do some systems design.
AI. Wait, guys, you just said AI. What the fuck?
And then maybe we do some, like, progression and some menus and things like that. And there you go. You got a video game. You worked on all these, right?
Yep.
And all of these are done by different people. Back in the day, maybe a team of like 8 or 10 could put it all together. Nowadays, if you want to go something big, like, I don't know, God of War Ragnarok, it gets a lot nuttier, right? And so all of these might have different employees working on different parts and things like that. Now, again, let's say it's 1991, and you've made a cool new game for the Super Nintendo called Street Fighter 2. You did it. You made Street Fighter 2. You released the game to the world. People are Hadoukening. Takes the world by storm. Good job. You made a video game.
It's lit.
That's great, right?
Yeah, it's great.
Well, the challenge here is like, cool, you've made a video game. What happens next? Well, your game
you add microtransactions
and what happens
to it
immediately. Everyone goes, I want some of that money. I'm going to do that too.
Yeah.
And they make another fighting game. And for those of you that weren't around in like the 1990s, what happened was you ended up with stuff like this. And this is just an article titled 15 90s Street Fighter 2 ripoffs. Yes, 15. And there were more than 15, right? We got some body blows and
power
some power moves
God.
and fighting spirit. clearly inspired by fighting games. And some of you might be thinking, well, that's terrible. It's actually not.
It's not. No. Yeah, that's what happens. Like, if somebody has a good idea, everybody else tries to like take it and like switch it up, right? Do a little bit different with it. Like you look at Vampire Survivors. This shit comes out, and then Soulstone Survivors comes out. Then after that, you get something like Hollow Cure. Then you have Halls of Torment. Then you have Death Must Die. And there's like 20 other ones that I don't even know about. So like, that's just the way it is. Like, people see an idea and they say, oh, this is a cool idea. Well, what if I went and I did it a little bit different?
It's okay, right? Being inspired by another game is totally fine. As long as, and this is the important part, when you're making your own game called Power Spirit, you have to do all this work still. You got to pick your engine, do your level art, do your level design, do your characters. You might go, my character's name is Bayou and Jen, and they shoot Badookins. You know, if you're not, might not be the most imaginative, but you still had to kind of do the work yourself.
You got to do a little bit.
And the reason that's okay is because innovation can happen if you're like willing to do it, right? Because
well, innovation happens all the time. Like with every one of these games, like I really like, for example, the gear system in Death Must Die. I like it way more than Halls of Torment. And like, but Halls of Torment had to walk, so Death Must Die runs. That's just how it is. Like, there is innovation that happens all the time. Like, World of Warcraft couldn't exist without EverQuest. And I bet EverQuest probably couldn't exist without Ultima Online. That's a good thing.
Something that does matter is, all that matters is the end game is good. If the end game is good, that is what consumers care about, right?
Just don't say that on Twitter, okay? You just do not fucking say that on Twitter. Do not fucking, oh, they don't like that.
And there was one clone from this era that, you know, really stood out. Mortal Kombat, right?
Oh.
Like, now, could you debate that it had differences? But it was clearly inspired by Street Fighter.
Yeah, of course.
But they took their own approach. They added their own hook.
Yeah.
You know, fatalities and killing and stuff like that. And it was...
I used to think that motion capture suits were stupid. And I actually learned that motion capture suits were actually cheaper and better than having it animated directly. And Mortal Kombat was the first game that did it. Isn't that nuts?
It was great. It was great, right? Mortal Kombat is a fun game. Inspired.
Think about how long ago that was.
It was good. Should we be mad that Mortal Kombat copied Street Fighter? Obviously not. Obviously not, right? Like, that's a good thing. Totally fine. I
remember whenever they came up with that Digimon shit, I said, wait a, hold up. They can just do that? They can just switch it up like that on them, and it is what it is? What?
Oh, there's this game called League of Legends that was inspired.
It's totally different than Dota. It's like, I mean, bro, it had nothing to do with Dota at all.
By, Dota. So,
which had nothing to do with Warcraft 3. I mean, come on. It's completely different games.
Happens, right? This is happening all the time in the industry. All the time is that someone releases a game. Other people are like, that game was popular. I want the money. And they make their own spin. And what matters is if you make
This happens with, like, streaming as well. Like, as soon as one person streams a game and it pops off, other people start streaming it too. Like, for example, whenever I first started streaming Monster Hunter, other people started streaming Monster Hunter because my views went up. And they said, I want a bit of that. Same thing happened with Final Fantasy. It's like stream metas. That's just how it is. Hot Tubs, Among Us, Palworld. Like, this happens everywhere.
a quality version, players will enjoy it, right? What matters is you did the work and you built the game.
Yep.
Now, second part here is building a game is a lot.
And getting mad about that is insecurity. Why would I get mad about people that steal my golden eggs whenever I'm the goose? That's how I see it.
work. It's continued to be a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Should you have to do this every time you make a new game? Because, man, imagine, like, you just shipped God of War.
Yep.
You've got all this stuff, and now you have to start over? That sounds terrible. There are times where you can take shortcuts, and shortcuts are good.
Yeah, I remember people got in their feelings about the fact that, I don't know if he's going to show this, but the God of War animation where Kratos and his son get inside a canoe was the same in the last game as it was in the current game. And people said, bro, how are they this fucking lazy? Like, these lazy fucks are using the same animation. And I go and I think that, and I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, it was a good one, right? Because he like pushes it and he gets in it. Like, you think they're going to do a whole new one? Like, bro, like where's that on a priority list? Elden Ring animation.
Let's talk about this game.
Ooh,
I think this is a great
I heard
game.
about this one.
Ocarina of Time, right? Ocarina of Time.
How's he got all those hearts?
We got to play it. It was good. Life is good.
Big dubs.
No problem. Now, they just finished Ocarina of Time. What do? Do they start over? Brand new
bro, they did Majora's Mask, which was like the same thing, except for it had you on a timer or shit. Man, that thing stressed me out.
engine?
I never beat Majora's Mask. I never
Instead,
did.
what they do is they take that engine, they rearrange some pieces. If we go back to our little diagram, maybe we get some new levels, some new level
Look
art,
at Breath
but
of
we
the
keep
Wild, Tears of the
characters, we
Kingdom.
keep some of the behaviors.
Look at that.
Maybe some new systems design.
Yeah.
A new progression. Keep the same menu. Keep the same engine. We shortcutted a lot of the work. And that's a good thing, right?
Majora's Mask is a better one, though?
Because we get
I like this one more.
Majora's
Yeah.
Mask. Sweet. We get another game.
Wow.
That's great. Game devs should be taking these shortcuts, right? So that they can make more games to the products and make really cool games. And again, as long as the game is good,
it doesn't matter.
no problem. No
Yeah,
problem.
people only care about reused shit whenever the game sucks. Like, here's a mind fuck, okay? The Asylum Demon at the beginning of Dark Souls 1 is the Erd Tree Sentinel Guardian with the little fucking hammer. It's the same thing. But he does that little sparkle shit, right? It's a little bit different, but everything else is the same. He's fatter. He is fatter.
Elden Ring. Elden Ring's another great example of this, right? Like, did Elden Ring get started from scratch?
Nope.
No, of course not. Because
there's so many things in Elden Ring that were just in Dark Souls. Like, there's tons of them.
A lot of work and learnings from Bloodborne.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of work and learnings from Dark Souls,
Absolutely.
right? Everything is sort of a level up, learning, things like that. It's also why you often see a lot of game devs.
And you see them like they were, like, for example, like at every game, they try something new. Like with Bloodborne, they went and they tried the whole sanity mechanic. Did the sanity mechanic work? In my opinion, I really think that it didn't. Like, I'm going to be honest, I think that it was a stupid mechanic. But the rally mechanic was a W. The rally mechanic was fucking awesome. It was so good that I was going to say Palworld, Lies of P put that into their game. And in my opinion, I think Lies of P had a better version of it than Bloodborne did.
Make the same games over and over, like the same type, is because they have all their learnings. They don't have to start this process over every single time, right?
That's right.
Having some of those shortcuts to help.
I had this with, this is also true with video editing. Like, I had a lot of plugins that I would use that would make video editing faster. Like, I could edit a video, like, 1 minute every, like, 2 minutes. And the reason why is because I had all of these presets and plugins that I could automatically do. Like, remember how I had, like, the achievement right above my webcam back in the day? I had that planned out, the pixel amount for it, the framing. I could click one button and it would just port that thing in instantaneously. And I even had it to where they were stacked on top of each other. And that's why I could do them quickly. And that's not being lazy, that's being smart.
Game development, That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right? Imagine trying to be, trying to jump
Sony
into
Vegas.
a different space. That's hard, right? So
Yeah.
anything you can do to speed this up, this is a good thing. Also, for those who don't know, I'm the TFT lead designer, and there was this game called League of Legends, and we took the engine, we took a couple shortcuts because we had some of the character designs done and things like that, and guess what? We made Teamfight Tactics.
Wow.
Cool. All of this is a good thing, right? Because all that matters at the end of the day is players are looking for good games, and you got to make good games. Development can be hard, and anything you can do to speed up that process to get more good games out there, usually a good thing.
True.
But,
Uh-oh.
and here's where it gets a little tricky.
Uh-oh.
There's been this concept because, again, what matters in the industry for a lot of devs, not all, but a lot, is you go where the money is, right? The second anything is popular, guess what? There are going to be clones, there are going to be copies, like we talked about with the Street Fighter. And again, as long as you're making your own, totally fine. I get it. There's been a common strategy called reskins. A very common thing is like someone will, especially as things have gotten a little easier to develop with engines, where you release a game, say on mobile, like maybe you have a hero collector on mobile.
God, bro, it's going to be like this, like, it's Illidan instead of Illidan. And the Warglaives of Azeroth are like swords. Bro, I've seen so many of these fucking games, bro. Like, I see this and I'm like, oh my God. Another one.
You release it, it doesn't do well. You take it, you keep all the same stuff, the progression, the enemy AI, the behaviors, the menus, the engine, the level art, and like maybe you change a character.
And yeah, you just keep repackaging the same mobile slop over and over and over until idiots buy it.
And that's it. And then you release it again. And you see if that does well. And you do this over and over and over in the mobile space. It's very common.
Yeah, it's funny.
To see if you can be the one to get players' eyes and get that money.
That's right.
Because again, it circumvents 90%
Everybody
want to
be Raid Shadow Legends.
do that. And it's a very common thing. How common is it?
Extremely.
Well, if you go to Fiverr, I could pay 50
Fiverr. Oh, that's good. Yeah, speaking of mobile development, let's go over to Fiverr. Oh, fuck. Here we go.
$5 for somebody to reskin a game for me.
Wow. I will reskin your game. I will reskin and develop
gross.
Unity games.
It's a little gross if that's all the effort you're willing to put in.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what
Look, bro, real quick. Reskin games. I will reskin games and publish AdMob earning Android games on Google Play Store. Monetize your game with ads. Oh God. And it's one of the he's got 5 stars.
hey, what does matter is the end product, right? And so you're probably not going to get a high quality end product with a $55 reskin, but there are shortcuts. Now, this is kind of a quick history lesson, so you might be going, what does all of this have to do with Palworld?
I can guess.
Okay. Now, everything from this
You don't need to invent pals because you have Pokemon. Pal spheres, Pokeballs. That's easy.
point on is my speculation. Okay? As a game developer, as someone who's been doing this for a while, I'm just going off what I see and what I understand and how games are made. And I'm going to show you something. Palworld's previous game was called Craftopia.
Yeah.
And
my understanding is that this is built like a lot of the things from Craftopia. Guess what game they're in?
I don't know about you guys, but this is the start of Craftopia. And I'm going to make this big for
Yeah.
you. And this is how the game starts.
Uh-huh.
You walk up these stairs.
Oh, it's like Elden Ring.
Some long stairs. No big deal.
It's a bit of a...
When you reach the top of the stairs...
And it's Elden Ring.
Okay, what?
No, it's not Breath of the Wild. It's Elden Ring. Because remember, like Elden Ring had like that tree? Yeah, no, bro. Like, because remember, like the tree, like any tree you have in a game, that's an Elden Ring.
Happens.
And
turn, you look at
it
the
might have been New
character,
World.
You look at a vista.
Yeah, New World did this too.
Huh, and the title appears.
I don't know about Zelda, but like, yeah, it's New World.
Huh. This is interesting.
That's crazy.
It's pretty similar. And then, oh look, there's a tent over there.
Uh-huh.
Cool. Now, the reason I bring this up is because
Genshin did
again,
this.
if we go back
I forgot
to
about
clones
Genshin.
and
Yeah,
you're
they
doing
did.
all the work yourself, that makes sense. And if I said, hey, Mort, go make a game and copy Breath of the Wild, but you're doing it from scratch. To get that exact same vista, that exact same layout, that's actually pretty hard to do from scratch. But if you
MiHoYo was able to do it. So it couldn't be that hard, right?
the source and you're reskinning, it's pretty damn easy. And what I'll say is, that looked pretty damn easy. So, that's a little gross, you know? And so, the fact that they can basically go, hey, thank you, you know, Nintendo or whoever for this.
Yeah.
This is mine now. And I'm going to make some stuff on top of it. That's a little weird. That's a little weird. But here's the important thing. What I will say is, even if they did that, right? Let's say I'm right for a second. And they're like, yoink, this is mine now. The stuff they did on top of it is really good. It's really, really good, right? A game where you can run around and pick up a Firefox and shoot it as a flamethrower.
That's really cool.
It's fun. The fact that you can take your pals and like chop them up and capture humans and Pokeballs, it's fun. Palworld is a good game. The end result is a great game. It is. It's good. So if anyone's like, oh, is Palworld a bad game? No. It's really good. All the work they did in this section here, thumbs up. Grade A, awesome work. All I'm saying is this part here, pretty sketch. And here's the crazy thing.
Is it? I don't know if it's like, why does he think it's sketch though? Because like, I mean, it's not like they took the world from Pokemon one for one. I mean, like they have I don't know. I mean, let him cook. Is he going to explain it? Okay.
Let's say again, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But let's say I'm right. What happens is we see Palworld's success. And again, game devs go where the money is. This will become
the norm.
The action. This will become the norm. So this will become, hey, you know what the easiest way to make games is? It's don't do all this. It's find something else, take its section, and add a little on top. And that's what we're going to get a lot of. And I know there's a certain bald streamer that like had some
This dude's over 40 years old, and he's got a perfect fucking hairline. This is bullshit, man. I'm getting fucking roasted. Like, this is, how the fuck does that happen? That's not even fair. It's not fucking fair.
And I know there's a certain bald streamer that like had some really strong feelings about it.
Oh, of course.
But I also know this bald streamer really didn't like back in the day where there was a $25 horse, and that.
Was it only $25?
$25 horse kind of snowballed into some pretty interesting parts of our industry, didn't it?
It sure did.
So I'm just saying, be really careful when you're like, this is what I want, because the snowball might not be the best thing. If we're going to reward people of just going, yoink.
Yep.
I don't know. That scares the crap out of me. So that's it. And the thing is, I know there's one other.
I feel like, for example, like I would say like Dota and League are like League is like super derivative from Dota. Like even like obviously Valorant has like a lot of bells and whistles, but like it's super derivative of CS. Like the op is even the operator in Valorant. Like I feel like it's pretty much the same thing. Like, but Valorant obviously is a lot more to it. Like, I know it's not the same thing, but like, you know, to an extent it is. And so, like, I don't think that's really a bad thing. And I don't necessarily agree that I think you can just say that the enemy AI is like Pokemon. Like, which Pokemon game has the enemy AI the same? The behaviors, the level design. Like, and I haven't played a lot of recent Pokemon games, so, you know, inform me if I'm wrong. But, like, I don't think that it's necessarily 1-to-1, is it? I mean, is it even 1-to-1.5? And also, like, to the extent that it is 1-to-1.5, won't most open world fantasy MMOs feature a desert zone, a large tree that they obviously copied from Elden Ring, and a desert area and a volcano area and a forest area and like a, you know, plains area? I don't know. I feel like that, yeah, there's going to be biomes, right? I mean, I feel like, I mean, shit. It's hard to, like, how are you going to reinvent that, right?
Component of this, which everyone's going to talk about, which is AI, right? Like using AI to cheat some of this. And the reality is AI is a tool. AI is a tool that can be used poorly and it can be used well. You know, there are going to be ways to do it right, ways to do it wrong.
Very
but
true.
Really, all of it
So
comes
true.
back to if you take somebody else's work, that's where it gets a little gross, right? Because the people who did that work are incentivized to do that work for the rewards. If there are no longer rewards, you're not really incentivized to do this anymore. And so what you could end up with is a lot less interesting games in the future. So
I think that, like, well, I find it so hard to take an argument for that seriously. Like, I totally respect what he's saying. Like, I'm not saying that he's, like, wrong. But, like, I feel like games have been, like, really samey in the last 10 years. Like, I see a lot of these games, and it's like, I don't know, this could look like 50 other games. Like, they are already like this a lot. So, I mean, I don't know if that's really compelling enough for me to be like, oh, okay, well, now I'm against this. I mean, fuck. That's his point. Yeah, I guess so, right? Because, like, again, people are always going to have, like, this viewpoint. Because, like, the user, I don't think, really sees this. Like, the user sees, like, the level art. They see character. They see progression, they see the menu, they see system design, but like a lot of this stuff is under the hood. So like they're not even really going to notice it. Like I'll give you an example, right? Like a lot of the systems, like for example, rolling for iframes. I feel like Dark Souls has done this, and like a lot of games do this now. Like there have been certain like features that games have had, and that like now every other game of that genre kind of uses that feature. Let me see if I can think of some other ones. Auto sort buttons for survival games. Valheim didn't have this. Since then, there's been innovation. Almost every game now has that. Lock-on from Zelda. Well, I would say, I mean, Elden Ring lock-ons, or Dark Souls lock-on is like that. Double jump. Double jump is another one. That's a big one. Paragliding is extremely popular. BRs with doing pings. Yeah, as soon as Apex created that ping system, every other game tried to copy it. And then after, you know, for example, like Apex did the buyback, and then, what was it? Warzone did the gulag. And then revive. Yeah, because like you used to not be able to revive. Like I think even in base Fortnite, you weren't able to revive. Because Apex was the first one that you could revive in, and then Warzone you could also revive. Let's see. PUBG, man down. Yeah, being knocked down. Exactly. Let me think of some. I want to think of like maybe one or two other ones. Loadouts. Yeah. How many games have loadouts now? Like just as a fundamental like concept or mechanic. Like loadouts as a concept, I feel like a lot of them have loadouts. Even WoW has loadouts now. So yeah, I think that's just what happens. Is like these ideas come into the game, to the world of gamers, and gamers like them, so then they just get implemented. Damage types. Yeah, think about like how many games use elemental damage type mechanics. A lot of them do, especially gacha games.
So that's kind of my quick spiel. But yeah, as far as evidence goes, there are things like this that really bother me here. Noise blast here. What's for a second, but bear with me.
Okay.
Let me rewind a
Good
second.
at, but yeah.
Of course it's gone. Anyway, the sound when you find a new area is basically the same sound as you find a new area here. It's like the exact same sound. And again,
Really?
stuff like that.
I never even noticed that. But I didn't play a lot of Breath of the Wild. I actually did. I owned Breath of the Wild. I bought it when it was $50 or $60, whatever. I have never played the game. I'm a piece of shit.
Really scary. So there you go.
Same. I don't know if it's the same.
Cool. Inspired by other games, cool. But in my opinion, you got to do the work yourself. That's the important part to me. And TLDR, Palworld's a pretty good game, but I don't know, man. So there you go.
It's hard to say, right? And I think also, like, at the end of the day, you know, it's the old customer's always right situation. If the people like the game, then you're going to see other people that are copying that style. So, yeah, I mean, that's his opinion. Yeah, no, I think this is a pretty fair video. I'll give it a like and, you know, link it to you guys. This is great. And there's a lot of stolen sounds that are pitched a bit. Really, stolen sounds that are pitched changed a bit. Yeah, I'm not really sure about that. If that's the case, then, you know, that's interesting. I wonder if Nintendo knows about that. Why doesn't do the work yourself apply to the core game design? It depends on how you're going to make the game, I think. That's really what it is. He didn't really prove or disprove anything. I think that he's just talking about, like, the concept that if the market rewards people for copy pasting, you're going to have more people copy pasting. Which is, like, sometimes I actually like that. I don't want some games to reinvent the wheel. Like, I don't want to hear, like, every game that has a Dark Souls roll where the roll doesn't give you iframes feels bad. And it's like, oh God, just go back to the wheel. Can we just have the wheel again? Can you just give us the wheel, man? And it's like, that's the thing. I just want the wheel back. And I that's what I think with what do you call it? With iframes on rolling and stuff like that. And so is that not copy pasting though? Yeah, but I think it's better. Yeah, like, for example, like, once there is a system in a game that's, like, just better, then I want that in every game. Until somebody else comes up with something better than that, and then I'm going to want that. Posture bars. I think posture bars are a great example. Like, think about how many games have started implementing posture bars. A lot. There's no problem copying a system that's good. Yeah, just don't copy paste bullshit. Exactly. But he's definitely right that, like, you know, it's always disappointing. I think it especially can be for, like, a game developer whenever a game is, like, very popular and you think that game shouldn't be popular, or you think that game being popular creates a precedent that's unhealthy for the industry. I can totally see what he's saying. Absolutely. I just, like, it's like there's a certain inevitability of it. And, like, how do you fight against that? It's almost impossible to.